The Starship EOS, humanity's most advanced deep space exploration vessel, drifted silently through the void. Its mission was clear: chart unexplored regions of the galaxy and seek signs of intelligent life. For months, the crew had found nothing but barren asteroids and dead planets. Morale aboard the ship was low, and whispers of turning back grew louder with each passing day. But then, something changed. On the edge of a dimly lit star system, Captain Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, her sharp eyes scanning the holographic display before her. "What's that?" she asked, pointing to a faint blip on the screen. Lieutenant Ava Chen, the ship's astrophysicist, leaned closer, adjusting the sensors. "It's a planet," she said, her voice tinged with curiosity. "Class M atmosphere stable, but strange readings." The planet was shrouded in perpetual twilight, its surface cloaked in thick, swirling clouds. As the EOS approached, the crew noticed something unusual: ruins. Massive structures jutted out from the landscape like broken bones, their shapes angular and alien. There were no signs of movement, no lights, no radio signals. It looked abandoned, yet traces of energy lingered in the air, faint but undeniable. "This place gives me the creeps," muttered Engineer Malik, his arms crossed as he stared at the view screen. "Feels like a graveyard." Captain Voss ignored him. Her instincts told her there was more here than met the eye. She ordered an away team to investigate. Alongside her went Ava, Malik, and 2 security officers armed with pulse rifles. As their shuttle descended through the planet's murky atmosphere, the ruins came into sharper focus. Towering spires loomed over cracked streets, their surfaces etched with intricate patterns that seemed almost alive under the dim light. When they landed, the silence was overwhelming. No wind, no animals, no sound except the soft crunch of boots on brittle ground. The air was cool and stale, carrying an odd metallic tang. The team moved cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. Then they saw it, a massive dome buried halfway into the earth, its surface covered in dust and vines. A faint hum emanated from within. "Energy signature is stronger here," Ava reported, her scanner beeping rapidly. "Whatever this is, it's still active." Malik knelt by the entrance, brushing away debris to reveal a seam in the metal. With a few quick adjustments, he pried it open. Inside, the air shimmered unnaturally, and rows upon rows of crystalline pods lined the walls. Each pod contained a figure suspended in translucent amber, tall, slender beings with elongated limbs and smooth, featureless faces. They looked neither human nor machine, their forms somewhere in between. "They're alive," one of the security officers whispered, stepping back uneasily. Ava ran her scanner over the nearest pod. "Verily, their brain activity is minimal, like they're in stasis. But how long have they been here? And why?" Before anyone could answer, the pods began to glow faintly, responding to the human's presence. One by one, the figures inside stirred, their eyes snapping open to reveal luminous orbs of light. The hum grew louder, resonating through the chamber. Then, without warning, the largest pod cracked open, releasing a burst of energy that sent the team stumbling backward. From the shattered pod emerged a towering figure, its crystalline body refracting the dim light. It tilted its head, studying them curiously. Though it made no sound, everyone felt a strange vibration in their minds, an attempt to communicate. "We need to leave. Now," Malik shouted, raising his weapon. "No." Captain Voss stepped forward, lowering his rifle with a firm hand. "This is what we came for. Answers." She turned to the alien, speaking slowly and clearly. "We mean no harm. Can you understand me?" The creature paused, then emitted a series of harmonic tones. The vibrations intensified, filling the room with warmth. Through the ship's eye translator, a single phrase echoed in their heads: "You are not progenitors." The word hung heavy in the air. Whoever, or whatever, these beings were, they weren't alone anymore. And their story was far from over. The alien's voice reverberated through the chamber, its harmonic tones both eerie and mesmerizing. Captain Ilara Voss stood frozen, her heart pounding as she processed the words. "You are not progenitors." The creature tilted its head again, studying the humans with an intensity that made them feel exposed, as if it could see straight into their thoughts. "We're human," Ilara said hesitantly, gesturing to herself and her team. "We came here to explore. Who are you?" The alien emitted another series of tones, softer this time. Through the ship's eye translator, fragmented phrases began to emerge. Valeth, forsaken, forgotten. The crystalline being extended a delicate limb toward Ilara, its movements cautious but deliberate. For a moment, no one moved. Then Ilara slowly reached out, her gloved hand hovering inches from the alien's shimmering surface. When they touched, a surge of energy coursed through her body, filling her mind with fleeting images of towering cities, starry skies, and endless suffering. She gasped, pulling her hand back. "They're showing me something," she murmured. "Their memories." Malik frowned, gripping his weapon tighter. "Captain, we don't know what these things are capable of. This could be dangerous." Ilara ignored him, focusing instead on the alien before her. "You're the Valeth. What happened to you?" she asked aloud, hoping the translator would bridge the gap. The response came quickly, though fragmented. "Progenitors. Abandoned us. Left to fade." Ava stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. If they were abandoned, why are they still here? Why didn't they die? As if answering her question, more pods around the chamber began to glow faintly. One by one, cracks formed across their surfaces, releasing bursts of energy as the dormant Valeth within awakened. Within moments, dozens of crystalline beings stood surrounding the humans, their luminous eyes fixed intently on the intruders. The air buzzed with their collective vibrations, creating a symphony of sound that echoed off the walls. "They're communicating," Ava whispered, awestruck. "But not just with us, with each other." Ilara nodded, realizing the significance of the moment. These beings had been trapped in stasis for who knows how long, isolated and alone. Now, thanks to humanity's arrival, they were reconnecting. Yet there was something else, a sense of desperation beneath their harmonic tones. They weren't just waking up, they were pleading. One of the larger Valeth approached Ilara, its posture almost regal. Its voice resonated louder than the others, clearer now as the translator adapted. "Help us. Free us." "Free you from what?" Ilara asked, her tone gentle yet firm. The Valeth gestured toward the ruins outside. "This world. Prison. Progenitors locked us away, left us to decay." Malik scoffed under his breath. "Great. We stumble onto some intergalactic family drama." But Ilara wasn't listening. Her mind raced with possibilities. If the Valeth were truly sentient, and clearly advanced enough to communicate, they deserved a chance at survival. She turned to her team. "We need to stabilize them. Their bodies seem fragile, and they're weak after being in stasis for so long. Ava, can your scanners analyze their physiology? Malik, see if you can rig up some kind of containment field to protect them while we figure this out." The crew sprang into action, setting up portable equipment inside the chamber. As they worked, the Valeth watched silently, their glowing eyes following every movement. Occasionally, one would emit a soft tone, as if expressing gratitude, or perhaps caution. Hours passed before the first breakthrough came. Ava adjusted her scanner, her brow furrowing. "Captain, look at this. Their energy signatures align perfectly with human biometric frequencies. That's why they responded to us. It's like our presence jump-started their systems." Ilara stared at the data, realization dawning. "So we're compatible somehow. Maybe that's why they trusted us." Malik grunted, still skeptical. "Or maybe it's a trap. You really think helping a bunch of aliens we just met is a good idea?" Ilara met his gaze squarely. It's not about whether it's a good idea. It's about doing what's right. If we leave them here, they'll die. Is that who we want to be? Her words silenced the room. Slowly, even Malik nodded, albeit reluctantly. The decision was made. They would help the Vaylith. But as the alien beings began to adapt to their new reality, one thing became clear. This alliance would test everyone involved. And the journey ahead would be anything but simple. Back aboard the Eos, tension simmered as the crew worked tirelessly to stabilize the awakened Vaylith. The crystalline beings had been transported to a specially modified cargo bay, where portable energy fields hummed softly around them, shielding their fragile forms from sudden environmental changes. Despite the team's best efforts, adapting to life outside their pods proved difficult for the Vaylith. Their bodies shimmered faintly, and some emitted low, discordant tones, a sign of distress. Captain Ilara Voss paced the length of the cargo bay, her sharp eyes scanning both her crew and their alien guests. "How are they holding up?" she asked Ava, who was monitoring vitals on her tablet. "They're stable. For now," Ava replied, frowning at the data. "But their energy levels fluctuate constantly. It's like they're struggling to adjust to, well, everything." Malik, crouched nearby adjusting one of the containment field generators, muttered under his breath, "Maybe we should have left them in stasis. This feels like asking a fish to breathe air." Ilara shot him a warning glare. "We didn't pull them out of those pods so they could die here. If we're going to help them, we need to commit fully." Her words silenced Malik, but the skepticism lingered in his expression. Not everyone shared Ilara's optimism. Some crew members whispered among themselves, questioning whether aiding an unknown species was worth risking their own safety. Others admired her determination, seeing it as proof of humanity's potential for compassion. Meanwhile, the Vaylith observed quietly, their luminous eyes tracking every movement. They communicated through harmonic vibrations that filled the room, though much of it remained unintelligible even with the ship's eye translator. One of the larger Vaylith, identified by its regal posture and deeper resonances, seemed to act as a leader. Ava nicknamed it Syra, based on patterns in its vocalizations. One day, Syra approached Ilara, its movements deliberate. Through the translator came a single phrase, "Teach us." Ilara blinked, surprised. "Teach you what?" The response came slowly, fragmented but clear enough. "Survive. Understand. Grow." It was a request, and perhaps a plea. The Vaylith weren't just asking for survival. They wanted knowledge, a way to reclaim their dignity after centuries of abandonment. Moved by their vulnerability, Ilara nodded. "All right. We'll teach you. But learning goes both ways. You'll have to share your knowledge too." Over the next few days, a cautious exchange began. The humans taught the Vaylith about basic survival skills, how to adapt to different environments, how to interpret sensory data beyond their pods. In return, the Vaylith revealed fragments of their history through vivid mental projections. These visions showed advanced technology, star maps etched into constellations, and glimpses of their creators, the progenitors. They were experiments, Ava explained during a debriefing session. The progenitors designed them to evolve beyond biological limitations, but when the Vaylith started showing signs of independence, the progenitors abandoned them. "This doesn't add up," Malik interjected, leaning against the wall. "Why go through all that trouble creating something perfect, only to throw it away? Sounds like a waste of resources." "Or fear," Ilara countered. "Maybe the progenitors saw their creations as a threat. History repeats itself, Malik. Humanity's done worse. As trust grew between the two species, so did mutual respect. The Vaylith marveled at humanity's resilience despite their physical fragility, while the humans admired the Vaylith's harmonious connection to energy and vibration. Bonds formed unexpectedly. Ava found herself drawn to Syra, fascinated by its wisdom, while Malik begrudgingly warmed to a smaller Vaylith named Kirin, whose playful curiosity reminded him of his younger siblings back home. Yet challenges remained. Some Valith struggled more than others, their energy fading dangerously low. When one collapsed, its crystal form dimming alarmingly, panic spread among the crew. Ilara ordered emergency measures, including transferring power directly from the ship's reserves to sustain them. It was risky, draining resources meant for the journey home, but she refused to let any of the Valith perish under her watch. Through it all, a fragile alliance took root, an uneasy partnership built on hope, necessity, and the shared desire to overcome adversity. For the first time since their awakening, the Valith began to believe they might have a future beyond their forsaken world. And for the humans, helping these alien beings reignited a sense of purpose they hadn't realized they'd lost. But peace aboard the Eos wouldn't last forever. As whispers of the progenitor's return echoed in the Valith's fragmented memories, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that their actions would soon draw unwanted attention. As days turned into weeks, the bond between humanity and the Valith deepened. The crew of the Eos had grown accustomed to the soft hum of harmonic vibrations that filled the ship, a constant reminder of their alien companions. Yet beneath the surface of cooperation, unease lingered. Fragments of the Valith's memories hinted at something ominous: the return of the progenitors. Scifi, the regal Valith leader, often shared these visions with Captain Ilara Voss during their private exchanges. One evening, as the two stood in the observation deck overlooking the desolate planet below, Scifi projected a vivid image into Ilara's mind. Sleek ships descending from the stars, their weapons firing beams of light that shattered crystalline bodies. The vision ended with a single phrase echoing in Ilara's thoughts: "They will come." Ilara clenched her fists, forcing herself to remain calm. "If they're coming, we need to be ready," she said aloud, more to herself than to Scifi. Turning to the alien, she asked, "Do you know why they abandoned you?" Scifi's response came slowly, its tones heavy with sorrow. "We grew beyond them. They feared our potential, feared we would surpass them." The implications weighed heavily on Ilara. If the progenitors saw the Valith as a threat once, they wouldn't hesitate to destroy them again. But there was another question gnawing at her. Why had the progenitors left behind such advanced technology? What purpose did the ruins serve? Determined to find answers, Ilara ordered an expedition back to the planet's surface. Accompanied by Ava, Malik, and several Valith volunteers, including Scifi, they ventured deeper into the ancient structures. Dust-covered corridors led them to a massive chamber hidden beneath layers of debris. At its center stood a towering device etched with glowing runes, pulsating faintly with energy. "It's some kind of gate," Ava whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. "Look at the schematics. It's designed for interstellar travel." Malik frowned, examining the console beside it. This thing hasn't been used in centuries. Activating it could attract attention. Before anyone could respond, Scifi stepped forward, placing a crystalline hand on the device. Instantly, the runes flared brighter, and a low hum resonated through the chamber. The air crackled with electricity, and a holographic map materialized above the gate, displaying star systems and coordinates. "They're showing us where to go," Ava realized, pointing to one blinking point on the map. "That must be where the progenitors fled." Ilara hesitated, torn between curiosity and caution. Activating the gate could lead to salvation or disaster. She glanced at the Valith, who watched her intently, their eyes shimmering with hope and fear. "If we activate this, we might not have much time before the progenitors notice. Are you willing to take that risk?" Scifi nodded solemnly. "We have no choice. To survive, we must face them." Back aboard the Eos, preparations began. Engineers worked around the clock to stabilize the gate's power supply, while the crew debated whether confronting the progenitors was wise. Malik voiced his concerns loudly during a heated meeting. "We're talking about beings who abandon their own creations without a second thought. What makes you think they'll care about diplomacy?" "We don't know what they'll do," Ilara countered. "But running isn't an option. If we want to protect the Valith and ourselves, We need answers. Despite the risks, the decision was made. As the final adjustments were completed, the gate roared to life, casting eerie shadows across the cargo bay. Just as Ilara gave the order to prepare for transit, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Captain," shouted Lieutenant Chen from the bridge. "We've got incoming signals, multiple ships approaching fast." On the view screen, sleek vessels emerged from the darkness of space, their designs unmistakably similar to those in Sayra's visions. The progenitors had returned. Ilara's heart raced as she addressed the crew. "Everyone, to your stations. We knew this day might come. Now it's here, and we face it together." Through the translator, Sayra's voice resonated with quiet determination. "You gave us hope. Now let us stand with you." The stage was set for a confrontation centuries in the making. Humanity and the Vailith stood united, ready to face the architects of their shared destiny, or fight for their right to exist. The sleek ships of the progenitors loomed ominously outside the Eos, their metallic surfaces gleaming like polished mirrors under the dim light of the distant star. Each vessel radiated an aura of cold precision, every line and curve designed for efficiency and dominance. On the bridge of the Eos, Captain Ilara Voss stood rigid, her hands gripping the railing as she watched the enemy fleet take position. "Shields up," she ordered sharply. "Divert all non-essential power to defense systems." Lieutenant Ava Chen worked frantically at her console, her fingers flying over the controls. "They're scanning us, Captain. If they detect the Vailith." "They already know," Malik interrupted, his voice grim. He pointed to the view screen where one of the progenitor ships had extended a glowing appendage, projecting a holographic message. The image resolved into the form of a tall, slender being with smooth, featureless skin that shimmered faintly, a stark contrast to the crystalline bodies of the Vailith. Its eyes glowed with an icy blue light, piercing through the screen, as if it could see into the very soul of everyone aboard. "I am Kalis," the figure announced in a voice devoid of emotion, yet resonating with authority. "You have interfered with what is not yours to claim. Surrender the failed creations immediately, or face annihilation." Ilara's jaw tightened. She stepped closer to the view screen, meeting Kalis's gaze without flinching. "These beings are sentient. They deserve a chance to live, just like anyone else." Kalis tilted its head slightly, as though amused by her defiance. "Sentience does not equate to worthiness. The Vailith were experiments, flawed constructs unfit for existence. Your interference only prolongs their inevitable demise." The word hung heavy in the air, sparking outrage among the crew. Ava clenched her fists, her anger bubbling beneath the surface. Even Malik, who had been skeptical of aiding the Vailith, looked visibly unsettled. In the cargo bay below, Sayra emitted a low harmonic tone, its vibrations carrying a mixture of sorrow and resolve. Ilara took a deep breath, choosing her next words carefully. "If they're so flawed, why did you leave them alive? Why go through the trouble of sealing them away instead of destroying them outright?" For a moment, Kalis hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing its otherwise stoic expression. Then it replied, "Their continued existence was inconsequential, a relic of past mistakes best forgotten." Ilara seized on the hesitation, pressing her advantage. "And now you've returned because we reminded you of those mistakes. Doesn't that make them significant again? Aren't you afraid of what they might become?" Kalis's glow intensified, a sign of irritation. "Enough. You are primitives, incapable of understanding the complexities of creation. Stand aside, or suffer the consequences." Before Ilara could respond, alarms blared once more. The progenitor ships began moving into attack formation, their weapons charging with lethal energy. Panic rippled through the crew, but Ilara remained calm. She turned to Ava. "Can we use the gate to jump out of here?" "It's still unstable," Ava replied quickly. "Jumping now could tear the ship apart. Or worse, strand us in uncharted space." Ilara nodded, her mind racing. "Then we buy ourselves some time." She addressed the crew, her voice steady and commanding. Prepare countermeasures. Deploy decoy drones and scatter our signal. Make them work for this fight. As the crew scrambled to execute her orders, Ilara approached the view screen one last time. "Callus," she said firmly, "if you destroy us, you'll lose any chance to bury your secrets. Is that really what you want?" Callus paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. For a fleeting moment, doubt seemed to cloud its demeanor. Then, with a wave of its hand, it signaled its ships to hold fire. "You have one cycle to surrender. Use it wisely." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Ilara exhaled slowly, turning to her team. "We need a plan, and fast. If we can't outrun them, we'll have to outsmart them." Malik crossed his arms, shaking his head. "This is insane. We're going up against gods." "No," Ilara corrected him, her voice unwavering. "We're going up against creators. And creators aren't infallible." In the cargo bay, Syra approached her, its tones soft but resolute. "You fight for us, even when hope seems lost." Ilara placed a hand on the alien's crystalline arm. "Hope isn't lost until we stop fighting. Together, we'll find a way." The countdown had begun. With the progenitors watching their every move, humanity and the Vailith prepared for a battle that would determine not only their survival, but also the future of creation itself. With the progenitor fleet holding position just beyond the planet's orbit, Captain Ilara Voss knew they had little time to waste. The crew of the EOs worked feverishly, their movements fueled by adrenaline and determination. In the cargo bay, Syra and several other Vailith gathered around a holographic projection of the gate schematics, their harmonic tones blending with the hum of the ship's systems. "We need to understand why the progenitors left this gate behind," Ilara said, addressing both her crew and the Vailith. "If we can unlock its secrets, we might find a way to turn the tide." Syra stepped forward, its crystalline form shimmering faintly as it projected fragmented memories into the minds of those nearby. Images flickered before them, ancient laboratories, bustling cities, and towering structures that seemed to defy physics. Amidst these visions, one recurring motif stood out. The symbol of a spiral galaxy etched onto every surface, glowing with an inner light. "They're showing us something important," Ava murmured, her eyes wide with realization. "This isn't just a gateway, it's part of a network. A system designed for exploration or escape." Malik frowned, leaning over the console. So the progenitors didn't abandon the Vailith entirely. They left them a way out, but only if they could figure it out themselves. Ilara nodded thoughtfully. "Which means the Vailith weren't failures. They were meant to evolve, to surpass their creators." That's what the progenitors feared most. The revelation sparked a new sense of purpose among the humans and Vailith alike. If the progenitors saw the Vailith as a threat, then aiding them wasn't just an act of compassion. It was a challenge to the very foundation of the progenitors' dominance. Together, the two species delved deeper into the ruins, uncovering hidden archives buried within the ancient walls. What they found was staggering. Data crystals embedded in the stone revealed detailed records of the progenitors' experiments, their attempts to create life forms capable of transcending biological limitations. The Vailith were the culmination of centuries of research, designed to adapt and grow in ways their creators never could. But when the first signs of independence emerged, fear took hold. Rather than embracing their creations, the progenitors chose to discard them, sealing them away on a forgotten world. "This changes everything," Ava whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "They weren't abandoned because they failed. They were abandoned because they succeeded." Syra emitted a low tone, its vibrations resonating with quiet pride. "We are not flawed. We are evolution." Ilara straightened, her resolve hardening. "Then let's prove it. If the progenitors won't acknowledge your worth, we'll make them see it ourselves." But activating the gate fully would require immense power, more than the EOs could spare without risking the ship's integrity. Back aboard the vessel, the crew debated their options. Malik suggested rerouting energy from non-essential systems, but even that wouldn't be enough. It was Syra who proposed the unthinkable. Our energy can sustain the gate, it offered through the translator, its tone steady despite the weight of its words. But it will weaken us, perhaps permanently. No, Ilara said firmly. I won't ask you to sacrifice yourselves. Syra tilted its head, its luminous eyes meeting hers. You already gave us hope. Let us give you strength. The decision weighed heavily on everyone, but there was no denying the logic. With the progenitor's deadline looming, the crew prepared for the activation sequence. Engineers worked alongside the Valeth, linking their energy signatures to the gate's core. As the countdown began, tension filled the air, each second stretching like an eternity. When the final switch was flipped, the gate roared to life, its runes blazing with blinding light. The hum grew deafening, shaking the very foundations of the ship. Outside, the progenitor fleet reacted instantly, launching probes toward the planet. They know what we're doing, Ava shouted, her hands flying over the controls. We need more power. Without hesitation, Syra and the other Valeth channeled their collective energy into the gate, their forms dimming as they poured themselves into the effort. The room vibrated with their harmonies, a symphony of unity and sacrifice. And then, with a surge of energy that lit up the entire system, the gate stabilized. Beyond it lay a breathtaking expanse of uncharted space, vibrant with swirling nebula and distant stars. We did it, Ilara breathed, tears welling in her eyes. Now let's show the progenitors what happens when you underestimate creation. As the progenitors closed in, the Eos prepared to leap through the gate, carrying with it the fragile yet unbreakable bond between humanity and the Valeth, a beacon of defiance against those who sought to control the cosmos. The gate shimmered before them, a swirling vortex of light and energy that pulsed like a living thing. Beyond it lay the promise of freedom, a vast expanse of uncharted space, filled with vibrant nebula and untold possibilities. Yet the cost of activating it weighed heavily on everyone aboard the Eos. The Valeth, their crystalline forms now dimmed to a faint glow, stood silently in the cargo bay, their harmonic tones softer than ever before. They had given everything to power the gateway, and though they remained standing, their strength was visibly waning. Captain Ilara Voss watched them with a mixture of awe and guilt. You didn't have to do this, she said softly to Syra, her voice tinged with emotion. We could have found another way. Syra's response came slowly, its vibrations carrying both resolve and acceptance. There was no other way. This is our chance, not just for survival, but for redemption. Ilara nodded, swallowing hard. She turned to her crew, who were equally moved by the Valeth's sacrifice. We owe them everything now, she said firmly. Let's make sure their choice wasn't in vain. On the bridge, alarms blared as the progenitor fleet launched a barrage of probes toward the planet. Lieutenant Ava Chen worked frantically at her station, monitoring the incoming threats. They're trying to disable the gate, she shouted. If they succeed, we're trapped here. Malik cursed under his breath as he manned the weapons console. Then let's give them something else to worry about. He fired a series of decoy drones into space, creating chaos among the enemy ships. Explosions lit up the void as the progenitors redirected their attention, buying precious seconds for the Eos. We need one more burst of power to stabilize the jump, Ava called out, her fingers flying over the controls. But the core reactor is already overloaded. Ilara hesitated, knowing what had to be done. She glanced at Malik, who met her gaze with grim understanding. Divert auxiliary power from the shields, she ordered, and prepare the crew for impact. Malik hesitated, his jaw tightening. Diverting shield power would leave the ship vulnerable, but there was no time to argue. With a nod, he executed the command, rerouting every spare watt of energy to the gate. The ship groaned under the strain, its hull vibrating violently as systems strained to their limits. In the cargo bay, Engineer Malik joined hands with Chiron, the smaller Valeth who had grown fond of him during their time together. Despite his earlier skepticism, Malik felt an unexpected pang of sorrow at the thought of losing them. "You guys better make it through this," he muttered gruffly, attempting to mask his emotions. Karen emitted a playful tone, almost like laughter, before joining the others in channeling the last reserves of their energy into the gate. The room filled with a radiant light as the Valeth pushed themselves to their absolute limit. Their forms flickered faintly, some collapsing to the ground, too weak to stand. Finally, with a deafening roar, the gate stabilized completely. On the bridge, Ava let out a triumphant cry. "It's ready. We can jump." Ilara wasted no time. "All hands, brace for transition. Helm, take us through." As the Eos approached the gate, the progenitors launched a final desperate attack. A massive beam of energy struck the ship, causing it to lurch violently. Warning lights flashed across the bridge, and smoke filled the air as circuits overloaded. But the ship held together long enough to cross the threshold. For a moment, everything went silent. Then, with a brilliant flash of light, the Eos emerged on the other side of the gate, surrounded by dazzling cosmic beauty. Nebulae swirled in vibrant hues of purple and gold, while distant stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across velvet. It was unlike anything the crew had ever seen, a new frontier waiting to be explored. But the victory was bittersweet. Back in the cargo bay, the surviving Valeth lay motionless, their bodies barely glowing. Syra, though weakened, managed to rise slightly, its eyes meeting Ilara's with quiet gratitude. "Thank you," it whispered, its tone barely audible, "for giving us hope when all seemed lost." Ilara knelt beside the alien leader, placing a hand gently on its crystalline form. "Hope isn't gone," she replied softly. "Not as long as we fight for it." As the crew tended to the wounded and assessed the damage, one thing became clear. Their journey was far from over. The progenitors might still pursue them, and the challenges ahead would test their unity like never before. But for now, amidst the breathtaking wonders of an uncharted galaxy, humanity and the Valeth shared a fragile yet unbreakable bond, a testament to the power of compassion and courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The Eos had barely crossed through the gate when disaster struck. The progenitors' relentless pursuit proved they weren't about to let their creations, or humanity, escape so easily. As the ship emerged into the vibrant expanse of uncharted space, alarms blared across the bridge. Lieutenant Ava Chen's voice cracked with urgency as she shouted, "Progenitor ships are following us through the gate. They're locking weapons." Captain Ilara Voss clenched her fists, her mind racing. "Evasive maneuvers," she barked. "Divert all remaining power to engines and shields. We can't afford another hit." The sleek, menacing vessels of the progenitors loomed closer, their glowing surfaces reflecting the radiant colors of the surrounding nebulae. Energy beams lashed out, striking the Eos with devastating force. The ship shuddered violently, throwing crew members off balance. Sparks flew from overloaded consoles, and smoke filled the air. Malik cursed under his breath as he scrambled to stabilize the shield systems. "Shields are down to 20%. We won't last long against those things." Ilara turned to Ava, her eyes sharp and determined. "Can we use the environment to our advantage? Anything in this system that could slow them down?" Ava frantically scanned the area, her fingers dancing over her console. "There's a dense asteroid field nearby. It might disrupt their formations if we lure them in." "Then that's our plan," Ilara said firmly. "Helm, plot a course for the asteroids. Weapons team, prepare countermeasures." As the Eos veered toward the asteroid field, the progenitor fleet gave chase, their movements precise and calculated. The battle intensified as both sides exchanged fire amidst the swirling rocks. Explosions lit up the void, sending shards of debris hurtling in every direction. In the cargo bay, the weakened Valeth stirred despite their fragile state. Syra, though barely able to stand, approached Ilara, its harmonic tones carrying a sense of urgency. We can help. One final effort. Ilara shook her head, unwilling to risk further harm to the Valeth. You've done enough. Rest. You've earned it. But Saira persisted, its luminous eyes unwavering. This is our fight too. Together, we will prevail. Reluctantly, Ilara nodded, realizing there was no other choice. With Malik's help, the surviving Valeth channeled their remaining energy into the ship's systems, creating an electromagnetic pulse that disrupted the progenitor's targeting arrays. For a brief moment, the enemy fleet faltered, giving the EOs a crucial opening. Now's our chance, Ava shouted. Deploy the decoys. Dozens of small drones shot out from the EOs, drawing the progenitor's fire away from the main ship. Using the chaos to their advantage, the crew navigated deeper into the asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks and narrow gaps. The progenitor ships followed, but their larger size made maneuvering difficult. Back on the bridge, tension mounted as the EOs narrowly avoided collision after collision. One progenitor vessel clipped an asteroid, sending it spiraling into another ship. The resulting explosion illuminated the battlefield like a supernova. We're almost clear, Ava called out, relief breaking through her exhaustion. But just as hope began to rise, Callus's cold voice echoed over the comms. Your resistance is futile. Surrender now, or face obliteration. Ilara ignored him, focusing instead on guiding the EOs to safety. She addressed her crew, her voice steady and resolute. Stay sharp. We're not done yet. With one final burst of speed, the EOs broke free from the asteroid field, leaving the disoriented progenitors behind. As the enemy fleet regrouped, the gate collapsed in a flash of light, severing their connection to the new system. For a moment, silence fell aboard the ship. Exhausted but alive, the crew let out a collective sigh of relief. In the cargo bay, Saira emitted a soft tone, its vibrations carrying gratitude and triumph. We have escaped, together. Ilara placed a hand on the alien leader's crystalline arm. And we'll keep fighting, together. Though battered and bruised, the bond between humanity and the Valeth had only grown stronger. They had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious. But the scars of battle served as a reminder that their journey was far from over. As the EOs drifted into the unknown, the crew prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead, united by courage, sacrifice, and the unshakable belief that even in the darkest moments, hope could shine brightest. The EOs drifted silently through the breathtaking expanse of uncharted space, its battered hull groaning softly, as if it too carried the weight of everything that had transpired. The vibrant nebula surrounding them painted the ship in hues of gold and violet, their swirling patterns casting an ethereal glow across the bridge. Yet for all its beauty, this new frontier was no sanctuary. It was a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Captain Ilara Voss stood at the helm, her sharp eyes scanning the view screen as Lieutenant Ava Chen worked tirelessly to map their surroundings. What do we know so far? Ilara asked, her voice calm but laced with urgency. Ava adjusted her glasses, squinting at the data streaming across her console. This system is massive. More than a dozen planets orbiting a binary star cluster. Most are uninhabitable, but there's one moon on the outer rim showing signs of breathable atmosphere and stable terrain. Ilara nodded thoughtfully. That'll be our first stop. We need somewhere safe to repair the ship and give the Valeth time to recover. Below in the cargo bay, the surviving Valeth lay motionless, their crystalline forms dimmed almost to transparency. Saira, though weakened, remained vigilant, its luminous eyes tracking every movement. When Ilara entered, it emitted a soft tone, acknowledging her presence. You saved us, again. We're not out of danger yet, Ilara replied gently, kneeling beside the alien leader. But we'll find a way forward, together. As the crew prepared for descent onto the moon, tensions lingered. Malik, still nursing burns from the battle, voiced his concerns during a debriefing session. We don't know what's down there. Could be hostile wildlife. Could be environmental hazards. We're walking blind. That's why we take precautions, Elara countered firmly. Scout teams will go first. If anything looks risky, we pull back immediately. When the shuttle landed on the moon's surface, the landscape took everyone by surprise. Rolling plains stretched as far as the eye could see, dotted with towering crystalline trees that shimmered like liquid glass under the twin suns. Streams of glowing water wound through the terrain, their surfaces rippling with bioluminescent light. It was alien, and yet strangely peaceful. This place feels alive, Ava whispered, stepping cautiously onto the soft ground. Her scanner beeped rapidly, detecting rich mineral deposits and abundant plant life capable of sustaining oxygen levels. Malik grunted, scanning the horizon warily. Looks pretty, but I'll believe it's safe when we've been here a week without getting eaten by something. Despite his skepticism, the team set up temporary shelters and began gathering resources. The Valith, slowly regaining strength thanks to the planet's natural energy fields, ventured outside for the first time since their awakening. Their harmonic tones resonated with awe as they interacted with the environment, their crystalline bodies glowing faintly in response to the moon's unique radiation. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, bathing the landscape in twilight, Syra approached Elara near the edge of a glowing stream. This world, it calls to us, it said, its vibrations carrying both wonder and uncertainty. It offers renewal, but also challenges. Elara nodded, gazing at the shimmering water. Every step forward comes with risks, but staying still means giving up, and neither of us is ready to do that. Over the next few days, humanity and the Valith worked side by side, repairing the Eos and exploring the moon's secrets. They discovered ancient ruins hidden beneath the plains, remnants of another civilization long gone. Though fragmented, the artifacts hinted at advanced knowledge that could aid their survival. Yet even as hope bloomed, shadows loomed. Strange tremors shook the ground at night, and eerie howls echoed across the plains. Whatever had once inhabited this world might not have left entirely. We can't stay here forever, Elara reminded the crew during a meeting. But for now, it's a start, a chance to rebuild, not just our ship, but ourselves. Through shared struggles and newfound discoveries, the bond between humanity and the Valith deepened. Together, they forged a fragile alliance born of necessity and trust, an alliance that would carry them deeper into the unknown, where greater adventures and dangers awaited. The moon that had once seemed like a sanctuary began to reveal its secrets and its dangers. Strange tremors grew more frequent, and the eerie howls in the distance became louder, closer. One night, as the crew worked late into the evening repairing the Eos, the ground beneath them split open with a deafening roar. From the fissure emerged massive, serpentine creatures with translucent scales that shimmered like liquid crystal. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were eerily silent despite their size. Panic rippled through the camp, but Captain Elara Voss's voice cut through the chaos. Stay calm. Form defensive positions. The humans and Valith acted in unison, their bond forged through shared struggles guiding their response. The Valith emitted harmonic vibrations that resonated through the air, disorienting the creatures long enough for the crew to retreat to higher ground. These things are drawn to energy, Ava shouted, clutching her scanner. They're feeding on the minerals and our equipment. Elara quickly devised a plan. We'll use the shuttle's energy emitters as bait, lure them away from the camp. With Silra coordinating the Valith and Malik leading the human team, they executed the strategy flawlessly. The creatures chased after the decoy signals, giving the crew precious time to reinforce their defenses. By morning, the immediate threat had passed, but it was clear they couldn't stay on the moon indefinitely. Yet the experience brought an unexpected gift. The glowing streams of water proved to be rich in restorative properties, accelerating the Valith's recovery. Their crystalline forms began to shine brighter than ever before, their strength returning in leaps and bounds. "We can't thank you enough," Syra said one evening. its tone carrying deep gratitude. "You gave us life when we thought all was lost." Ilara smiled softly, placing a hand on the alien leader's arm. "And you've given us hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, resilience prevails." As the repairs to the EOs neared completion, the crew debated their next move. The ruins they had discovered hinted at star maps etched into the walls, pointing toward other habitable worlds deeper within the system. It was a risk to venture further, but staying put posed its own dangers. On the day of departure, the entire crew gathered outside the ship. The Valeth stood alongside their human allies, their harmonic tones blending with the hum of the engines. Before boarding, Sylara approached Ilara one last time. "This is not goodbye," it said firmly. "Our paths will cross again. Until then, carry this." Sylara extended a crystalline fragment, pulsating faintly with light. Ilara accepted it, feeling its warmth against her palm. "What is it?" "A piece of us. A reminder of what we've built together." With heavy hearts but renewed determination, humanity and the Valeth parted ways. As the Eos ascended into the sky, the Valeth remained behind, beginning the process of rebuilding their society among the crystalline trees and glowing streams. They vowed to honor the humans who had saved them by thriving in this new world. Back aboard the ship, the crew reflected on their journey. They had faced unimaginable odds: abandoned beings, vengeful creators, battles amidst the stars. But through compassion and unity they had triumphed. The knowledge gained from the Valeth would propel humanity forward, opening doors to advancements they could scarcely imagine. As the Eos sailed into the unknown, Captain Ilara Voss held the crystalline fragment close, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. She knew their adventure was far from over. Somewhere out there lay answers, and perhaps allies, waiting to be found. For now, though, the legacy of their alliance burned brightly, a beacon of hope in the vastness of space. Humanity and the Valeth had proven that even in a universe filled with uncertainty, courage and compassion could forge bonds stronger than any force. And as long as those bonds endured, the future would always hold promise. The end, or just the beginning.